Welcome to a very, very extremely special edition of my game talks. Well, this isn't even really a game talk. I'm going to be talking about what's going on with the YouTube Content ID crisis, as well as certain revelations. And I'll be telling you things that other people are not telling you. For one, those of you who've gotten to know me through other channels, you know I have a reputation for brutal honesty and for speaking the truth, no matter what the consequences might be. So I'll be doing that. I'll give you the straight dope. Moreover, I will give you relevant information that other channels have not given you, because by and large, this YouTube content ID crisis is not being assessed properly by the people who are being affected by it most, and that's because they're entering into overly emotive reactionary states that are quite frankly are not objective. These are not objective commentaries for the most part. So I will first explain to you what's going on with the YouTube thing by showing you what's happened to me. So we have Average Joe. So you have to go to the video manager, and I will explain this step by step. So as you can see, it all starts with being partnered with a network. I happen to be partnered with TGN. When you're partnered with a network, your videos become automatically monetized. The agreement up to now, to date, had been that if you are partnered with a network, they take a cut of your profits, and you're allowed to, presumably, in theory, make content with game content with bypassing some of these issues with third-party content. Now, what's interesting here is that this is all about the change. Now, mind you, I'm a minuscule channel. I was running this channel for years before without making any money, so the idea that I'm just in it for the money is a bit ludicrous. I happened to get the offer. I decided to take it because maybe in the long run it would have been nice to make a little side income. And I'll get into the whole idea of YouTube as a market investment as being a very bad one indeed. But that's another issue. So I'm just going to explain the mechanics of it. So you can see everything that has a green dollar sign, USD sign, is monetized. And yes, you are paid in USD, although I haven't earned anything. I haven't earned nothing on YouTube yet. If something is not monetized, there's usually a reason. And many content producers are getting the match third-party content mark here, the mark of the devil, as it were. You can see it's here as well. Now, the problem here is that oftentimes these match third-party content marks, or let's call them the matches are inaccurate. So in this case, for example, you can click on this and you can see why was this matched. It claims Michael McCann Lower Henshaw Ambient, which is part of the in-game music. All right, that shouldn't be matched. But I'll show you something even more ludicrous. Why were my other, and I'll get to this in a bit, why were my other Deus Ex LPs not matched for third-party content? That's an interesting question and one I'll answer, and if you just give me a bit of time. I want to show you something even more ridiculous. My very first Zorna Huntress Skyrim LP was also matched for third-party content. Now, if you want to see how dysfunctional the scanning algorithm system is, I can show you by means of this example. This is how absurd this is. The claim in Let's Play Skyrim Part 1 Zorna the Orc Huntress is that the song 8 Miles High, a musical composition administered by blah 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 blah, what does 8 Miles High have to do with Skyrim? Absolutely nothing. 8 Miles High is, to my knowledge, a 70s band that was based in the UK. They have nothing to do with it. But you can see that this song is a musical composition managed by these companies that have nothing to do with Skyrim, Bethesda. And because of this video cannot be monetized. Now, then there was another case in the case of here, this Ursine Beast one. This is in-game Skyrim music, which may or may not be legitimate. A bunch of the other LPs I have the same music, and it wasn't matched for a third party. Now you can acknowledge these, or you can dispute them. Now I know from first-hand experience from other YouTube channels that disputing claims is a waste of time. Why? Because YouTube has a hands-off approach. They do not deal directly with people. It takes many, many, many months. Hence why if you get flagged, which is a separate issue, getting flagged for a copy strike violation is not the same thing as being matched for third-party content. Third-party matching content can lead to being flagged, and if you have 3 strikes, your channel will be terminated permanently. But disputing a claim is a complete waste of time for a myriad of reasons. YouTube, Google has billions and billions of uploads in their totality. There's no way they can manage it all, even if they wanted to, and they don't. It's just a pro forma function. Pro forma being the Latin for the sake, well, it doesn't literally mean this, but for the sake of appearances. You have a dispute option for the sake of appearances, pro forma, because, well, it looks good. But in actual reality, in actuality, it serves no useful function whatsoever. So yeah, it is absurd that this playthrough can't be monetized, and which is fine with me because I don't earn money with YouTube yet anyway, and if I were to earn money, it'd be $5 or $10 every 2 months. It's chicken feed. Like I said, just being honest here. That's not the primary reason why I make videos. I mean, all those guides I made for Mass Effect didn't earn a dime off of them, and I was completely fine with that. So as you can see, I can dispute, I can acknowledge it, which does nothing. It just confirms it. Disputing it, well, let's try to dispute. I believe this claim is not valid. Now, the problem here is that YouTube is dysfunctional, or rather the scan bot, the algorithm they're using to match content to third parties is dysfunctional. So if you try to dispute it, here are the options. I own the CD, DVD, or bought the song online. Well, the song's not even in the video, so that's not applicable. I'm not selling the video or making any money from it. That's not, well, now I'm not, but no, that's not applicable. I gave credit in the video. I can't give credit to the makers of a song, the producers of a song, of which the song is not in the video, so that's not an option. The video is my original content, and I own all the rights to it. No, that's not really an option. I'll get into that in a bit. I have a license or written permission from the proper rights holder to, well, the song's not in the video, so once again, inapplicable. My use of the content meets the legal requirements for fair use. Well, the song, technically, yes. The song's not in the video, so inapplicable. The content is in the public domain or is not eligible for copyright protection. Inapplicable, the song's not in the video. They need to have a final option, YouTube scan bot, dysfunctional, not working properly. If you don't believe me, we can go back. Let's have a little look here at the song 8 Miles High. What does 8 Miles High come up with? And what does this have to do with? I'm going into depth here because I want to show you how ludicrous this is. 8 Miles High, The Birds. So the band is called The Birds. 8 Miles High. 23rd of December 1970. Well, 8 Miles High, The Birds, Skyrim. Any hits there? No, nothing. You see the dilemma here, of course. So let's go back to the video manager. 8 Miles High has nothing to do with my video, and this is just one example of the absurdity, or rather the dysfunctionality of the scan bot. It is an algorithm they use, and it's constantly performing scans, and a lot of them are hit or miss, and in some cases they're complete misses. This is yet another reason why disputing claims, apart from the fact that Google just has no interest in addressing petty YouTube users with their pro forma dispute claim button, why it's, well, a bit retarded, to be frank, because that option, that is inaccurate applications of the scan bot, is not there. Wow. Now, fortunately, most of the videos I've been doing recently have been the game talks, which considering my minuscule subscriber base, but the thing that I like about my subs is they're actually here because they really want to. I'm not trying to rope them in with fakery and trickery and con artist BS. So I really do appreciate my subscribers, and I know they actually want to listen to my game talks, and they're doing reasonably well considering the size of my channel. And I haven't had any issues with those. Now, there are a lot. There's a lot. There are a lot more complexity, or rather, there are a lot more complications to this than merely what I'm showing you right here. So that's the basic problem, right? People are getting hit across the board with these things. Now, I'm minuscule. If YouTube doesn't work anymore, I'll say it up front. My channel will continue indefinitely, whether I'm partnered or not, or this thing goes full throttle, and I'll get into that in a bit. Starting beginning of January, all videos will be subject to a review process of a few hours to a few days, which will delay publication based on whether or not they match up with third-party content. But I enjoyed making the guides. I'll always have this channel in some capacity. It'll always be small, I imagine, but that's the way the cookie crumbles. You see, so it's not really that big a deal for me. I don't earn an income from YouTube, so the cataclysm, the crisis, the YouTube ID crisis, content ID crisis, is merely a fascinating phenomenon, event that is unfolding before our eyes. However, people like Joe Vargas, aka the Average Joe, or sorry, he calls himself the Angry Joe, I like to call him the Average Joe, is quite upset. He did a rant full of emotion, full of very little logic and almost no objectivity. He's affected because he earns hundreds of thousands a year. The Not Rad Brad, the Call of Booty expert, is affected as well. And so the really big people are affected. Now, what does this mean? And I'm sure Rad Brad is upset about this, although I haven't seen a rant on his part. Well, what does this mean in terms of partnership? Now, normally you are protected, or in the early days, you are protected from these sorts of things by dint of your partnership. Now, if you were partnered with TGN or Polaris or Machinima, you could bypass this and your videos are automatically monetized. Partnership is now going to be divided into two separate kinds of partnership. You're either an affiliate or you are managed. Now, there's certain things I cannot talk about due to NDA, non-disclosure agreements with TGN, but I will say that if you are a managed partner, that I am not and will not be, and I suspect 0.0001% of people will be, then none of this applies. You can still bypass it. The scan bot is probably then alerted to the fact that you are managed, and that's it. No problem. All this doesn't apply to you. Continue earning lots of dinero on YouTube and enjoy life. If you're affiliated, like most people are, such as myself, like most people, like Angry Joe, like the Average Joe, like the not Rad Brad, like Woody Gamers Tag, who I like to refer to as Wooden Gamer Tag, you have a problem. Affiliates effectively have no protection whatsoever because they have to deal with the same process come January that everyone has to. Their videos will be scanned by the search algorithm or the scan bot, and it will take a couple of hours to a few days for them to upload. And this will hurt them. People actually do earn money on YouTube for the following reason. As far as analytics are concerned, people always earn the most money the earlier the video is put out. To say the most views are generated almost inevitably in the first day or two of the video being published. However, if there is a 48-hour delay on publishing a video, that will hurt their profits, even if it passes the third-party matching content to begin with, because it's quite likely not only will these YouTubers, the big ones, the Not Rad Brad, the Average Joes, these guys being affected, so not only will they be put up for review, most likely the videos won't pass at all because they'll be matching third-party content. And if they do, it'll still be matching third-party content, and they won't be able to earn any money off of it. Now, this means effectively that being an affiliate really doesn't serve a whole lot of purpose, at least any purpose that I can directly ascertain. But I will stay the course for the time being and stick with my partner TGN. I have to at least give TGN credit. They're very responsive to inquiries, and if you have a problem, they try to get back to you as soon as possible. Although that is perfectly understandable. This is this is a form of YouTube crisis. People say it's unprecedented. It's not, but it is a crisis of sorts. The entire YouTube gaming community, if you wish to call it, is aghast. Especially the really big people. You know, the Exciting, enthusiastic people like the Rad Brad bring you the very best in Call of Booty. And, the Angry Joe show, who now has his Angry Joe website that he probably invested a lot of money in for his angry army. Now, please, does that not sound megalomaniacal? Regardless, these people are going to be affected. It's the big people who are going to be affected. Apparently, PewDiePie is affected as well. Now, will PewDiePie, given the fact that he's either the second, I think the second biggest YouTuber in the world and certainly the biggest quote-unquote gamer, will he be offered, he's under Polaris, a managed partnership? Almost certainly. PewDiePie is still profitable for YouTube, for Google, and Polaris. Mind you, the networks are helpless. They are helpless. They're doing what they can, but the networks can't do a whole lot. Google Plus and YouTube are what I like to call a communistic, centrally planned, tyrannical economic monopoly. You have to work within the framework that they are offering to you, or you can just leave. Though I suppose under a communist dictatorship, you probably would just be put to death. But in many cases, the problems that are arising from third-party match content will be the sounding of the death knell for many YouTubers, such as the Rad Brad, the Average Joe, Wooden Gamer Tag, all these people who have staked their lives, and I'll get into that in a bit, on YouTube. Very, very foolish investment, if you ask me. But apparently the Rad Brad is from Atlanta, Georgia, and there are probably abundant McDonald's and other service industry places where he can find gainful employment. Now, the facts of the matter are such that we do not have the law on our side. I'm not really part of this. I mean, I am affected by this minimally so far, and maybe I'll be affected more by this. But yeah, generally speaking, we don't have the law on our side. And I will post a link to several videos that talk about this as well. They tend to be a lot shorter than mine, less in depth. One video I thought was brilliant, and this is a guy I used to not like, Xcal. This guy is a fine specimen of honesty. He did 2 videos where he talked about the bottom line, which for most of these channels is money. Notice how Angry Joe and this other one and all these other, they don't talk about the profits they're losing. They just talk about being upset and all the time and creativity they invested. Xcal, and I'm paraphrasing here, said something effective. If this continues, I just won't be able to do this because goodwill and love. You can't write a check to the bank on it. So with that, I praise Xcal if you hear this. I praise you for your honesty. You are the honest mercenary. Your work is much appreciated, and I hope you can continue, if only for your honesty with regards to the monetary issues. I wish more YouTubers would do that. Xcal is a good guy. He's got my support, if only because of his what I think is just intellectual honesty at the end of the day. And I'll post a video to that, link to that, and then in addition I'll post one to Force Strategy Gaming that I am sub to. He's kind of a middle ground. He does talk about the money he makes, but he's not as honest as Xcal is. But it is informative. And then you get someone else. I think his name is Robo something. I watched. I actually favorited it just so I could find it again. And he's just completely emotional. But what has actually happened? Now, Robo Schmo, as I'll call him, claimed that this was unprecedented. It's not. Now, it just so happens that a friend of mine used to be a Google YouTube shareholder. And shareholders have access to memos and data. He told me that this had been in the works for quite some time, at least since 2010 and probably since before that. First, you have to understand that the kinds of technical changes that take place on YouTube take time to implement. They don't snap their finger willy-nilly and then it's there. They plan this for a long, long time. So if this has happened now, you can bet money, if you want to bet money, or just bet, that this had been in planning for a very long time, at least a few months, half a year. But based on the data and the information provided to me by my friend who used to be a Google YouTube shareholder, this has been in planning for at least 3, give or take, 3, 4, 5 years. And the reason is simple. Google's not stupid. Google, as I said, they are the equivalent of a centrally planned, communistic, monopolistic economic tyrant, but they know about profits. They want to. People often lose track of what companies are there to do. Companies are there to please their shareholders and to maximize profits. It doesn't matter what product they're offering. Be it, doggy bones, toilet paper, protein shake, protein powder, plastic cards, computer chips, games. It doesn't matter. All of these guys are out there to satisfy their shareholders and make profits. That's all they're about. They will always, almost always, with very few exceptions, and we can talk about the Kickstarter as one, Obsidian, they will always take the shortest route, the shortest road, the shortest path that leads down to profitable endeavor for them. So YouTube's not an idiot, rather Google Plus is an idiot. They have good financial analysts, they have marketing people. They did the calculation, they did the mathematics, they did the math. They know that this in the long run will be more profitable. And now you can know why it is as well. As I said, this has been planned for quite a bit, as my friend who is former YouTube Google shareholder. And the reason why YouTube is doing this is, quite frankly, is that they're losing profits and they're not earning maximum profits. And why? Because you have to go through if you're Google Plus, let's say you're a human being, Google Plus, which is not, but Google Plus companies, you're observing that, I'm losing profits. Why? Because content producers, such as the Not Rad Brad or Average Joe, or even me, we are effectively taking a cut of their total profits. Not only that, the gaming networks, such as Machinima, Polaris, etc., are also taking a cut. So Google is effectively losing double the cuts that they could to gaming networks and to content producers under the so-called protection, the former protection of gaming networks. So what they do, they get rid of it. Gaming networks will now, as I said, if you're an affiliate, gaming networks effectively offer you no advantage, not really. So get rid of the utility of gaming networks to content producers. Have content producers get the match for third-party content branding, if you will. And now Google can earn all the profits from the ad revenue for themselves. And this is something that basic economics, basic understanding of how markets work, something that a lot of people clearly miss in their emotive, hyperbolic outrage about this. It's always best to remain cool and calm and collected. Angry Joe, if you watch his video, I watched his rant. Unfortunately, it was a hysterical, nonsensical rant, as usual. But this was actually legitimate. The first time Angry Joe was actually angry, not faked, and to rope in his audience. He just going on about all the creative endeavors he had engaged in, how much money he had made Google. But what he doesn't get, what most of these people don't get, is Google will make more money without him and without me and without all the content producers, because they will be able to gain all the money from the ad revenue instead of going through two different channels. First channel, content producers, then second channel, gaming network people, gaming networks that take a cut as well. Now, if you are Google and your interest is pleasing your shareholders by maximizing your profit, that's what you would do. Now, people have mistaken my stance on this for some sort of approval. I assure you, I don't approve of Google Plus. I think it's an abomination. And I also think YouTube has become an abomination, much akin to Sodom and Gomorrah, a cesspool of iniquity and sin that must be purged. I would have no qualms seeing YouTube completely go under. Yes, there would be some loss of cultural heritage, but there's so much filth and crap on YouTube these days anyway, it really would be probably for the better in the long run. That said, who knows what's going to happen. But that's what Google's going to do. Let's just be objective. If they can earn more profits by jettisoning these people, by not allowing people to earn their own cut, that's what they're going to do. They don't care about people's hurt feelings. They don't care that Joe Vargas might end up working at McDonald's. They don't care about this stuff. This is really, at the end of the day, no different from any other business in the world. If a small business owner goes out of business, he doesn't hop about the streets in an angry rant saying, I deserve this and that. His business didn't succeed. He has to file for bankruptcy perhaps, or he has to cut his losses and try to sell the business and then start over if he wants, or just go do something else. That's how it works in the real world, and YouTube is no different. Now, this will become, as I said, even more difficult. And by the way, that was the revelation that a lot of people don't realize. That is the revelation that YouTube, thus far, YouTube has been operating through two middlemen, content providers and networks that are quite frankly, taking profits away from Google that Google feels that they're entitled to. So you get rid of the content producers, the networks crumble. That's it. Google overall, they've done the maths, folks. They've done the maths. They know on aggregate they will be making more profits this way than the way it's been thus far. They're not stupid. They don't care about people's hurt feelings, their hyperbolic emotive outbursts. They don't care about this. They care about profit margins. Specifically, they care about pleasing their shareholders. Every company is like that. There are no exceptions. Yes, some of them might actually enjoy what they do, but at the end of the day, it's about pleasing shareholders. There you go. Revelation there. Come January, things, of course, will become a lot more difficult, especially if you're trying to earn money. And as Force Strategy Gaming pointed out, an astute observation and an obvious one, he does news, gaming news, and if the gaming news isn't fresh, if it takes a day or two to publish, apart from the fact that just in terms of financial analysis, channels tend to earn the most during the first and second day of publication, the most views, he's going to be losing out as well. I think Force Strategy Gaming is be okay. He doesn't sound like a dumb guy. He actually sounds like he has some education. But now let's talk about the financial investment aspect of YouTube. You've heard the expression, I'm sure, of not putting all your eggs in one basket. And indeed, only a fool would put all his eggs in the YouTube basket. If YouTube, having undergone a plethora of changes over the past few years, minor ones to semi-major ones, the comment system, if that is any indication of the stability of the format of the system, then you would know well in advance that YouTube, on aggregate in its totality, is not a stable investment to make. I mean, yes, you can make money off of it, but you almost certainly should have a backup plan. Some people invest in all their time and energy into YouTube, such as Joe Vargas, aka Average Joe, which is why he's so upset. He quite literally could end up on the street. As to my knowledge, he has no education and no job experience apart from, well, his channel. So I do feel slightly bad for him, but I don't think it was very wise for him to do that. Other people who are giants, such as Ray William Johnson, not a fan, he's smart. I mean, he discontinued Columbia Law School to pursue this. He's already signed, as to my knowledge, a contract with as a producer for some sort of television program, and he started to film a series with his wife, and he's trying to break into Hollywood. He knows that YouTube in the long run is probably going under. The death knell was already sounded, well, maybe a couple of years ago. The golden age, if you will, probably was 2011 and 2012. And if you want, Xcal has another video that I'll be linking to where he talks about that. That was the best time, YouTube for gamers and people in general, for the content producers. So YouTube in the long run is not a profitable endeavor, and you will see a diminishing over the last few years. The same thing can be seen in Fakebook, aka Facebook. Zuckerberg, Sugar Mountain as I like to call him, that's what his name means in German. Sugar Mountain has put it up on the stock market. He knows it's sinking because it's not novel anymore. It's beginning to lose, and he's going to bail out and sell it and hope that someone can and just that's it. I don't think he's going to produce anything new. Nothing lasts forever, and certainly in the realm of social media, that rings even truer than in virtually any other arena. That said, if YouTube had kept the original format, maybe 2009, we could have done very well. I think as a species, using YouTube could have gone on for decades. But it wasn't profitable. 2009, there were profit losses. Google needs to make sure that YouTube is profitable. They have profit margins they have to meet. If they're not met, they'll do what it takes to have them met. And this third-party content thing is just part of that. That's the financial reason I've offered to you is the reason why they're doing that. The other reason, of course, is, at least in theory, Google doesn't want developers and publishers getting on their case about content ID, because that should be managed and stuff like that. I mean, that to me is a pretext. That's more a pretext for the real reason, which are the financial reasons. Because developers to date haven't really given a flying pig's ass about most of this stuff. It's very rare that they get upset about this stuff. I haven't seen really any examples of this. So the pretext is, if you were to buy the Google line, the pretext, and the line that most of the non-objective people are offering, the pretext is following that Google can't afford to get into trouble with publishers and developers over copyright disputes. So that's why they're implementing this. The real reason is they're tired of having to go through two middlemen and losing profits twice. So they're maximizing their profits this way. As for myself, I don't know, and I haven't uploaded. I've been so busy recently, and I will be until next Wednesday or Thursday, and then I'll have 2 weeks off. So I'm looking forward to that holiday. For me, I admit, I don't do a tremendous amount of editing for the LPs, but LPs do take time to play, and the rendering. I think overall my talks tend to be a lot more popular. People seem to enjoy them more, and they tend to be shorter. This one notwithstanding, of course. So yes, this will be something that I have to consider in the future, not just because of the issue of monetization, but I would occasionally produce third-party content stuff anyway. But it's a question of the time investment. LPs, no matter if you edit them a lot or just the rendering, I don't have the best machines, so rendering can take anywhere from 4 to 7 hours sometimes. It sucks a lot of time up. My channel might be primarily a channel based on game commentary. And if I want to have some monetization, which I wouldn't mind earning a little bit of profit. I would never stake my entire life on it. I mean, like I said, staking everything on YouTube was a mistake on the part of these people. It's a very unstable venue that was clear. It was clear to see for everyone based on the changes that have been implemented over the course of time. But if I could earn a couple of hundred in the long run, well, it would be paid in USD, so a couple hundred USD a month, so I can buy a meal or two or a game that I might be able to review. That would be nice. Now, as far as the reviews are concerned, will have to be careful if going forward, careful about using imagery. So far, the only games I've covered are the Eidos ones, BioWare, and Bethesda games, as well as the Obsidian stuff. I can't imagine Obsidian caring about this. They're independent now. They're using the Kickstarter, and I think I would be inclined to believe that they're pretty happy with any sort of publicity they get. But if it does become an issue, I will just be using stills, which are really boring. But hopefully the people who actually care about my commentary, find it profitable and interesting. They'll listen nonetheless, because at the end of the day, it's the verbal content that you've come to listen to as opposed to the flashy images. Skyrim mod reviews. I want to do another one at least, to see how that goes. If I get matched third-party content on that, though, on a regular basis, that might become non-viable in the future as well. But I might do it anyway, just because, like I said, I enjoy doing it, and some of the stuff is a labor of love. The LPs are just so time-consuming, though, that I might need to do away with in the future, depending on what happens. But it seems to be overall the case that BioWare, Bethesda, the companies and publishers and developers that I cover, more or less are cool with it. I do have legitimate third-party matching stuff for music I've used. I own up to that. That's true. That's fine. Some of the stuff is just wonky and wacky. 8 Miles High, Skyrim, no, it just doesn't match. Anyway, I think I've explained all of what's going down here in greater depth than most people have. I'm honest about it. I tell you what, people are getting really upset, but people like Average Joe are not telling you is that they're upset because they're losing all their money and that's all he has. I feel a little bit bad for Joe, but I mean, Joe, really, you should have been smarter. You shouldn't have been putting all your eggs in the YouTube basket. I mean, the angry army, come on, really? As far as Rad Brad and the rest are not Rad Brad, the rest of them concerned, I just honestly, I'm at the point now with YouTube, given how bad the format is, and given the ubiquity of, in my opinion, poor content. And I'll give you an example of this. Full disclosure. Here's an example of a channel I think is very good that I like a lot, that I'm subbed, that I've actually learned something from, Gopher. It would be a shame if Gopher had to stop his YouTube channel or severely limit it and restrict it because of this. It would be a shame. Because I've learned from him. The no boss video was key to me. He made a video about the no boss in Skyrim that allowed me to arrange the mods so I wouldn't get these penalties using Skyrim redone and some other stuff. Brilliant. Gopher's a helpful guy, good content. I wish him all the best. I hope this doesn't affect him. Then you get someone like Mox Review, who I just refer to as the Skyrim tits and ass guy, who uses the really cheap and infantile sex sells model to grow his channel. He has no original content, no original thought. He's not helpful. Those are the kinds of guys, well, quite frankly, I don't mind them just disappearing off the face of the earth. Can't believe he was compared to Gopher, which I personally think is a disgrace, but I'm blocked on Mox's channel, so couldn't say that. So, there are people making worthwhile content like Gopher. I think Force Strategy Gaming is good. Xcal, I'm not a big fan of his gameplays, but he's honest about the mercantile aspect of it, and I got to give him respect for that. I like honesty. But ultimately we'll see what happens in the future. It seems that Bethesda's content is more or less okay. BioWare for the most part as well. I don't know, but the only way to tell will be trial and error. But once again, that's what's happening. YouTube is maximizing its profits because it is more profitable to let go of this stuff, let go of these channels, than it is to keep them on. It's that simple. People need to grow up and deal with it and just deal with the objective reality on this stuff. Anyway, that was a long talk. I hope I explained everything in detail. And if you have any questions, feel free to post in the comment section. I'm very eager to engage with you on these issues. Fascinating times we're living in the YouTube content ID crisis revelations. There you have it, folks.